Good evening. This is All India Radio. I'm Valsa Williams, and with me is Sarah Mujtaba with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses Khadi Utsav at Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad, says Khadi can inspire India to become developed and self-reliant. Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurates office building of NIA at Raipur in Chhattisgarh, says government-empowered probe agency in line with its zero-tolerance policy towards left-wing extremism and terrorism. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari calls for reducing production of sugar and diversification of agriculture towards energy and power sector. Justice U. Lalit takes oath as 49th Chief Justice of India. Prime Minister to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. Russia blocks adoption of joint declaration on nuclear disarmament at the United Nations. In cricket, Asia Cup tournament kicks off in Dubai, opening T20 match between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan underway. And in Durand Cup football, Mohammedan Sporting Club defeat Indian Air Force 2-0 in Kolkata. Kerala Blasters beat North East United 3-0 in Guwahati. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that Khadi can be the inspiration to achieve the dream of a developed and self-reliant India. Mr. Modi was addressing a gathering at Khadi Utsav at Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad today.
चरखे पर सूत काटने वाले आपके हाथ भविष्य के भारत का ताना बाना बुन रहे हैं। साथियों, इतिहास साक्षी है कि खादी का एक धागा आजादी के आंदोलन की ताकत बन गया। उसने गुलामी की जंजीरों को तोड़ दिया। खादी का वही धागा विकसित भारत के प्रण को पूरा करने का, आत्मनिर्भर भारत के सपने को पूरा करने का प्रेरणा स्रोत भी बन सकता है।
The unique Khadi Utsav was organized as part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to highlight the importance of Khadi in the country's freedom struggle. Speaking at the event, the Prime Minister said Khadi was made the symbol of country's self-respect by Mahatma Gandhi during the freedom movement. He said, however, the same Khadi was seen as inferior after the country's independence.
जिस खादी ने हमें स्वदेशी का एहसास कराया, आजादी के बाद उसी खादी को अपमानित नजरों से देखा गया। आजादी के आंदोलन के समय जिस खादी को गांधी जी ने देश का स्वाभिमान बनाया, उसी खादी को आजादी के बाद हीन भावना से भर दिया गया। इस वजह से खादी और खादी से जुड़ा ग्रामोद्योग पूरी तरह तबाह हो गया।
Mr. Modi said that since 2014, the production of Khadi has increased fourfold. He said as many as 1.75 crore new jobs have been created in the cottage industry in the last 8 years.
आज भारत में खादी का रिकॉर्ड उत्पादन हो रहा है, रिकॉर्ड बिक्री हो रही है। पिछले 8 वर्षों में खादी की बिक्री में 4 गुना से अधिक की वृद्धि हुई है। पहली बार भारत के खादी और ग्रामोद्योग का टर्नओवर 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए से ऊपर चला गया है।
The Prime Minister also highlighted the importance of Khadi in the empowerment of rural women. He appealed to citizens to adopt sustainable and eco-friendly lifestyle by wearing Khadi. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel said the government is working hard to reform the cottage industry in the state. Mr. Patel added that the government is providing assistance to as many as 20,000 artisans in the state. As many as 7,500 women Khadi artisans from various parts of the state participated in the event by spinning the charkha. An exhibition on the evolution of charkhas was also organized at the Khadi Utsav, which displayed 22 spinning wheels used in the country since 1920. It also featured various modern spinning wheels with the latest innovations and technology. A live demonstration of the production of Panduru Khadi of Andhra Pradesh also took place at the event. On the occasion, the Prime Minister also virtually inaugurated a new office building of the Gujarat Rajya Khadi Gramodyog Board and footover bridge at the Sabarmati River. Mr. Modi said this iconic foot-over bridge named as Atal Bridge, which connects the eastern and western sides of the Sabarmati riverfront, has been built with unique design and innovation.
अटल ब्रिज साबरमती नदी को दो किनारों को ही आपस में नहीं जोड़ रहा, बल्कि डिजाइन और इनोवेशन में भी अभूतपूर्व है। इसकी डिजाइन में गुजरात के मशहूर पतंग महोत्सव का भी ध्यान रखा गया है। गांधीनगर और गुजरात ने हमेशा अटल जी को खूब स्नेह दिया था। 1996 में 1996 में अटल जी ने गांधीनगर से रिकॉर्ड वोटों से लोकसभा चुनाव जीता था। ये अटल ब्रिज यहां के लोगों की तरफ से उन्हें एक भावभीनी श्रद्धांजलि भी है।
Chairman of Sabarmati Riverfront Development Corporation, Keshav Verma, spoke about the features of the Atal Bridge.
ये पतंग से इंस्पायर्ड है। यहाँ रिवर की जो एक हिस्ट्री है उससे इंस्पायर्ड है ब्रिज। ये खास खुसूसियत है इस चीज की। मगर एक और चीज कि अटल जी की जो पोएट्री है, जो उनका लव फॉर ब्यूटी एंड नेचर था, उसको भी एक्सप्रेस करता है। तो इनका जो नाम दिया जा रहा है अटल ब्रिज, वो भी एक खास पर्पज से दिया जा रहा है। ये अपने आप में एक ऐसा ब्रिज है कि लोग खुद यहाँ पर आके रुकेंगे, महसूस करेंगे यहाँ का रिवराइन नेचर, पानी नीचे से गुजर रहा है, हवा बहुत अच्छी चलती है इस ब्रिज पे, तो आदमी खुश होगा यहाँ पर आके, डी स्ट्रेस होगा। और तो हम चाहते हैं फैमिलीज यहाँ पर आएं और इस ब्रिज पे टाइम गुजारें, थोड़ा क्रॉस भी करें मगर ब्रिज को एंजॉय करें, बिकॉज की सीनरी भी बहुत अच्छी है। यहाँ पर अब क्या हुआ है कि रिवर ज्यादा साफ हो गई है, करीब 200 स्पीशीज ऑफ बर्ड्स हैव कम बैक। इसका ऑक्सीजन लेवल अब 8 and 9% हो गया है, तो वो भी एक खास चीज है।
The Prime Minister reached Gujarat this afternoon on a two-day visit to the state. Tomorrow, Mr. Modi will launch various development projects at Kutch and Gandhinagar.
Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the branch office building of the National Investigation Agency (NIA) at Raipur in Chhattisgarh today. Speaking at the event, Mr. Shah said the government has adopted zero-tolerance policy towards left-wing extremism and terrorism. He said, to ensure this, the centre has empowered the NIA and expanded its scope to other countries as well during the last 3 years. He said that the NIA has achieved more than 94% conviction rate.
वामपंथी उग्रवाद, टेररिज्म और टेररिज्म से रिलेटेड कई सारे, जैसे फेक करेंसी हो, जैसे नारकोटिक्स हो, इस सब के खिलाफ एक जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति को अख्तियार किया है और इसीलिए हमने एनआईए को मजबूत करने में कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी। आतंकवाद संबंधी सारी सूचनाओं इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी राज्यों के साथ साझा किया जाए। आतंकवाद को सपोर्टिव जितनी भी एक्टिविटी है, इसके खिलाफ जितने कानून हैं, वो सभी कानूनों को पुख्ता और सख्त बनाया जाए। आतंकवाद विरोधी इन्वेस्टिगेशन करने वाली सभी संस्थाओं को मजबूत किया जाए और इसमें दोष सिद्धि के प्रमाण को 100% करने का लक्ष्य रखा जाए और उसी उपक्रम में एनआईए को मजबूत करने का काम हमने किया है।
Later in the day, Mr. Shah delivered a speech at the Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Auditorium on a book, Modi at 20, Dreams Meet Delivery. More details from our Raipur correspondent.
Addressing the seminar on the book Modi at the rate 20, Union Home Minister Amit Shah explained in detail Prime Minister Narendra Modi's personality and his pioneering work, saying that his basic mantra of life is nation first. After becoming the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi pushed forward the politics of development, putting an end to dynasty politics, corruption and appeasement. Amit Shah said that Shri Modi has rekindled the faith of democracy in the minds of the people of the country. Referring to the achievements made during the tenure of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Shri Shah said that Shri Modi has worked to raise the standard of living of the poor in the country. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari called for reducing production of sugar and diversification of agriculture towards energy and power sector. Speaking at an event in Mumbai, the minister said sugarcane is one of the important crops produced in the country, adding that the government has taken a decision for diversification of agriculture towards the energy and power sector. Mr. Gadkari said, keeping this in mind, a decision has been taken to add 20% ethanol in petrol. He opined that a time has come for the industry to discourage production of sugar from sugarcane and focus on converting more ethanol. The minister also pitched for rate rationalization for power purchase. Mr. Gadkari said there are some states which do not give appropriate rates in accordance with the policy of the federal government.
Education and Skill Development Minister Dharmendra Pradhan along with Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena today presented certificates to New Delhi Municipal Council NDMC workers for completing Recognition of Prior Learning RPL program. RPL is a process used to evaluate a person's existing skill sets, knowledge and experience gained either by working on the job or learning over the years. To augment skill training in the NDMC jurisdiction, 900 candidates were trained in August under Skill India mission for completing the RPL program. Congratulating the candidates on the occasion, Mr. Pradhan said the initiative is yet another step in the direction to transform India into a $5 trillion economy. He said, as India moves ahead with the resolve to fulfill the goal of Viksit Bharat, skill development assumes a critical role. All India Radio News has launched a weekly interactive program Abhyas for competitive examinations. It is aimed at reaching out to students and job seekers preparing for competitive examinations. The program is in Hindi and is broadcast every Saturday between 9:30 to 10 p.m. Every week a subject is chosen. Students can ask questions through WhatsApp or email and a guest speaker or expert responds to their queries. Questions on each subject are selected on the basis of crowdsourcing from the students across the country. The program also includes segments like Explainer, Fact File, Examination Calendar and Question of the Week. The 22nd episode of the program will be aired today. The topic for this episode is anthropology. All India Radio News has got an overwhelming response for the show with questions received from across the country. Dr. Sunita Reddy, Associate Professor at the Center of Social Medicine and Community Health, School of Social Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, will be responding to the queries of the aspirants. This episode of Abhyas will be on air on 100.1 FM Gold at 9:30 p.m. today.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses Khadi Utsav at Sabarmati Riverfront in Ahmedabad, says Khadi can inspire India to become developed and self-reliant. Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurates office building of NIA at Raipur in Chhattisgarh, says government-empowered pro-agency in line with its zero-tolerance policy towards left-wing extremism and terrorism. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari calls for reducing production of sugar and diversification of agriculture towards energy and power sector. Justice UU Lalit takes oath as 49th Chief Justice of India. Prime Minister to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. Russia blocks adoption of joint declaration on nuclear disarmament at the United Nations. In cricket, Asia Cup tournament kicks off in Dubai. Opening T20 match between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan underway. And in Durand Cup football, Mountain Sporting Club defeat Indian Air Force 2-0 in Kolkata. Kerala Blasters beat North East United 3-0 in Guwahati. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप वरिष्ठ नागरिक हैं? क्या आपके मन में सेहत, आर्थिक, सामाजिक या भावनात्मक मुद्दों से जुड़ा कोई सवाल है? आकाशवाणी आपके लिए लेकर आया है कार्यक्रम एक कदम और बुजुर्गों के लिए हर रविवार रात 9:30 बजे FM गोल्ड पर। रविवार 28 अगस्त FM गोल्ड पर रात 9:30 बजे प्रसारित होने वाले हमारे कार्यक्रम का विषय है बुजुर्ग और पेंशन। आप अपने सवाल हमें व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर भेज सकते हैं।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Welcome back to the evening news. Justice Uday Umesh Lalit was sworn in as Chief Justice of India today. President Draupadi Murmu administered the oath of office to Justice Lalit as the 49th Chief Justice of India at Rashtrapati Bhavan.
I, Uday Umesh Lalit,
having been appointed Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India,
having been appointed Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India,
do swear in the name of God
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my ability, knowledge and judgment perform the duties of my office without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and that I will uphold the Constitution and the laws.
Justice Lalit succeeded Justice N.V. Ramana, who retired yesterday. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and several union ministers were present at the ceremony. Justice Lalit will remain in office till the 8th of November this year. Our correspondent reports that Justice Lalit was appointed as Judge of the Supreme Court in August 2014. He is the second Chief Justice to be directly elevated to the Supreme Court from the bar after Justice S.M. Sikri, who served as the 13th Chief Justice of India in 1971. BJP President J.P. Nadda today hit out at the TRS government in Telangana for not allowing the welfare and development programs to reach people in the state. Mr. Nadda was addressing a public meeting at Hanmakonda in Telangana this evening on conclusion of the third phase of Praja Sangram Yatra. Referring to allocations of funds to Telangana for Jal Jeevan Mission, the BJP president alleged that not even 10% of funds were spent by the state. He said when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is empowering women, youth and various sections of people, the state government is diverting development funds to others. Mr. Nadda accused Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao of giving prohibitory orders and imposing Section 144 in the state to create obstacles for the opposition parties. He alleged that the TRS government is corrupt and anti-democratic. Union Tourism Minister G. Kishan Reddy, BJP MPs from Telangana, senior leaders also spoke on the occasion.
Union Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal reached Anantnag district today on a two-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir. On the first day of his maiden tour to the district, the minister held a detailed review of the implementation of various centrally sponsored schemes and interacted with various beneficiaries of the scheme along with first-time voters and the youth. Mr. Meghwal directed the implementing agencies to spend minimum time in sanctioning and estimation to ensure timely execution. The minister assured that central government is committed to ensuring rapid development in the Union territory and all necessary support will be provided. The Border Security Force, BSF, has apprehended a Pakistan national near the international border in Aranya sector of Arispura in Jammu district. The intruder has been identified as a resident of Sialkot. Our Jammu correspondent reports that the alert BSF troops observed movement of one Pakistan national near the international border last night. The intruder crossed over to the Indian side of the international border and started moving towards the fence. The troops challenged him, but he kept moving towards the fence in an aggressive manner. Alert troops opened the gate and apprehended him.
Nagaland got its second railway station on Dhansari-Shokhuvi railway line after a gap of more than 100 years. Dimapur station was opened in 1903. Nagaland Chief Minister Nephew Rio officially flagged off the first passenger train service, the Donyi Polo Express, from Shokhuvi railway station in Chomi, Kedima district yesterday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It will be the 92nd episode of the monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast on the entire network of All India Radio and Doordarshan, AIR News website and News on AIR mobile app. It will also be live-streamed on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through storytelling of All India Radio.
आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ, reliving the journey of India since independence over the last 75 years with All India Radio. From 15th August, the series is being broadcast on All India Radio, 100.1 FM Gold Channel, primetime news bulletins and across all its platforms. Tune in to stay updated with All India Radio.
In today's episode, we bring you the story of the famous victory of the Kargil War of 1999.
The Kargil War of 1999 was fought between India and Pakistan 52 years after independence. The war commenced shortly after the signing of the Lahore Declaration in 1999, when the Pakistani forces infiltrated on the Indian side of the line of control and took over the Indian Army's winter-vacated posts. The aim was to cut the link between Kashmir and Ladakh to isolate Indian Army troops on the Siachen Glacier. On 3rd May 1999, intrusions were detected. Then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee sent out a clear warning to Pakistan that if the infiltrators did not withdraw from the Indian territory, then India will get them out one way or the other.
हम शांति चाहते हैं, ये तो दुनिया ने देखा. अब दुनिया ये देखेगी कि हम शांति की रक्षा के लिए अपनी शक्ति का भी प्रदर्शन कर सकते हैं. लड़ाई के परिणाम के बारे में भी मेरे मन में कोई संदेह नहीं है. हमारी विजय निश्चित है और हम विजयी होकर दिखाएंगे.
On 26 May, the first air-to-ground strike was launched by Indian Air Force, followed by Operation Vijay by the Indian Army to evict the intruders from the Indian territory. The war was fought in high-altitude mountains with jagged, near vertical hill faces, which posed both tactical and logistical problems. The Indian Army, supported by the Indian Air Force, regained control of the hills overlooking the highway NH-1A and then commenced driving the invading force back across the line of control. After 2 months of violent confrontation, the war came to an end on 26 July 1999. India celebrates Kargil Vijay Divas every year on 26 July to commemorate the historic victory of the Indian Armed Forces in the War of 1999.
आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ can be accessed on Twitter at AIR News Alerts, News on AIR official YouTube channel, News on AIR app, Facebook and Instagram handles. So tune in to All India Radio News for Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke saath. The Minister of State for External Affairs, Dr. Rajkumar Ranjan Singh, will be visiting Jakarta in Indonesia tomorrow on an official visit to ASEAN Secretariat. This will be his first visit to ASEAN Secretariat and Indonesia. During the 2-day visit, in addition to engagements with ASEAN Secretariat, Mr. Singh will also have engagements to strengthen bilateral relations and interaction with the Indian diaspora.
Russia today blocked the adoption of a joint declaration by a United Nations Conference on Nuclear Disarmament. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is reviewed by its 191 signatories every 5 years, aims to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons. Russia objected to a draft text, citing grave concern over military activities around Ukraine's nuclear plants, in particular Zaporizhia. Participants in the last review in 2015 also failed to reach an agreement. The 2022 meeting, which had been due in 2020, was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The failure to agree on a joint declaration followed a 4-week conference in New York. Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong said she was deeply disappointed at the lack of agreement. The U.S. representative, Ambassador Bonnie Jenkins, said the U.S. regrets this outcome and even more so on Russia's actions that led us here today. The Non-Proliferation Treaty, backed by 190 countries in 1970, commits signatory countries, including the US, Russia, France, the UK and China, to reducing their stockpiles and bars others from acquiring nuclear weapons. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has invited applications for Sports Awards 2022 from eligible sportspersons, coaches, entities and universities. This year onwards, applications will be only in online mode through a dedicated portal. The applicants eligible in accordance with the award guidelines are permitted to self-apply without the recommendation of the authorities or persons. The application must be submitted at the portal dbtas-sports.gov.in till the 20th of September. In case of any issue faced in online application, the applicant may contact the Department of Sports at the email ID section.sp4-moyas@gov.in or at telephone number 011-2338-7432. Sports awards are given every year to recognize and reward excellence in sports. They include Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award, Arjuna Award, Dronacharya Award, Dhyan Chand Award, Rashtriya Khel Protsahan Puraskar and Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad Trophy. Major Dhyan Chand Khel Ratna Award is given for a spectacular and most outstanding performance in the field of sports by a sportsperson over a period of 4 years.
In badminton, Indian men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty settled for a bronze at the World Championships at Tokyo today. The Indian pair lost to Malaysia's Aaron Shia and So Woo Yik 22-20, 18-21, 16-21 in the semi-finals. Despite the loss, it was a creditable performance by the Indian pair, ensuring that the country continued to return with a medal from the World Championships since 2011, when Jwala Gutta and Ashwini Ponappa won a bronze medal. In cricket, the Asia Cup tournament kicked off in Dubai with the opening T20 match between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. Sri Lanka was 75 for 9 in 15 overs against Afghanistan when reports last came in. Earlier, Afghanistan won the toss and elected to field. Defending champions India will kick-start its campaign tomorrow against arch rivals Pakistan. The match will start at 7:30 p.m. Indian time. The matches in tournament will be played across 2 venues, Dubai International Cricket Stadium and Sharjah Cricket Stadium. All India Radio will broadcast ball-by-ball commentary of the tournament in Hindi and English. In Durand Cup football, the Mohammedan Sporting Club defeated Indian Air Force by 2-0 at Kishore Bharati Stadium in Kolkata. In the other match, Kerala Blasters beat Northeast United 3-0 in Guwahati. FIFA has lifted the ban imposed on the All India Football Federation AIFF after the Supreme Court terminated the mandate of the Committee of Administrators. The decision has cleared the decks for India to host the Women's Under-17 World Cup scheduled to take place from 11th to the 30th of October. World Football Governing Body FIFA had suspended the All India Football Federation on 15th August for undue influence from third parties. In a letter to AIFF, FIFA mentioned that Bureau of the FIFA Council decided to lift the suspension of the AIFF with immediate effect. Youth Affairs and Sports Minister Anurag Thakur has expressed happiness on FIFA's decision.
Now let us have a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is expected to have a generally cloudy sky. Mumbai is likely to have a generally cloudy sky too, with light rain or drizzle. Kolkata expected to have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Srinagar is expected to have thunderstorm with rain. Muzaffarabad will experience partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Jammu will have thunderstorm with rain. Leh will have a mainly clear sky. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Imphal, Aizawl, Shillong, Gangtok, Kohima, Itanagar will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses Khadi Utsav at Sabarmati Riverfront in Ahmedabad, says Khadi can inspire India to become developed and self-reliant. Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurates office building of NIA at Raipur in Chhattisgarh, says government empowered probe agency in line with its zero-tolerance policy towards left-wing extremism and terrorism. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari calls for reducing production of sugar and diversification of agriculture towards energy and power sector. Justice U. Lalit takes oath as 49th Chief Justice of India. Prime Minister to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow. Russia blocks adoption of joint declaration on nuclear disarmament at the United Nations. In cricket, Asia Cup tournament kicks off in Dubai, opening T20 match between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan underway. And in Durand Cup football, Mohammedan Sporting Club defeat Indian Air Force 2-0 in Kolkata. Kerala Blasters beat Northeast United 3-0 in Guwahati. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.